You are sitting in your kitchen on a Tuesday afternoon. Nothing is happening. And then, out of nowhere, you think of them. Not because anything reminded you, not because you planned it, just them. Suddenly, taking up the entire room. And the thing that gets me about this, the thing I cannot explain with any simple theory of heartbreak, is that the person most people cannot stop thinking about is almost never the one who was good to them. It is the one who hurt them, the one who lied, the one who disappeared without explanation, the one who made them feel invisible for months and then acted like that was normal. The one who, by any rational standard, they should be relieved is gone. You have probably said this to yourself 100 times. I should not miss this person. They were not even good to me, and yet here you are. I want to tell you something that changed how I understand this, and I think it is going to change how you understand it too. What you miss is not them, not the actual person. What you are grieving is something that was never theirs to own. And by the end of this investigation, you will understand exactly what that is, where it went, and more importantly, how to get it back. What Jung found that nobody wants to hear. Carl Jung spent decades watching people fall in love with the wrong person, over and over, watching intelligent, self-aware people get destroyed by relationships they could not explain and could not leave. And he arrived at a conclusion that most people, when they first hear it, immediately reject. Jung said, "You are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with an image you have constructed and placed on them." He called it the anima in men, the animus in women. I want to be precise about this, because most popular explanations of this concept get it wrong. The anima and animus are not spiritual ideas, they are clinical observations. Jung documented them in his 2 essays on analytical psychology, essays written from 1916 and 1917, revised and published in Collected Works Volume 7, after years of watching the same pattern in patient after patient. Every one of us builds a public face. Jung called it the persona, from the Latin word for the masks worn by actors in Greek theatre. To build it, we push certain qualities underground. The analytical person suppresses their passion. The dutiful person suppresses their wildness. The strong one suppresses their tenderness. Those qualities do not disappear, they go into the unconscious, and they wait. When we meet someone who appears to carry those exact qualities, someone who seems free in a way we never let ourselves be, or passionate in a way we denied ourselves, the unconscious does something automatic and powerful. It recognizes its own missing material, and it reaches out and places everything it has been carrying onto that person. Jung documented this in Collected Works Volume 6, Psychological Types, paragraph 807. He wrote that the anima image is inevitably projected upon a real object with which he gets into a relation of almost total dependence. That is what falling in love feels like when the projection is fully activated. Total dependence. The sensation that this person completes you, sees you, holds the very thing you have been looking for without knowing what you were looking for. That feeling is real. The image behind it is real. It was built from real material, your own suppressed qualities, your own unlived life. The person sitting across from you had almost nothing to do with producing it. Jung described this in Ion, Collected Works, Volume 9-2, Chapter 3, which he titled The Syzygy, Anima and Animus. He wrote, "She is the great illusionist, the seductress, who draws him into life with her Maya." The Maya he is referencing is the Sanskrit word for illusion. The veil that makes us see something other than what is actually there. The anima, projected onto another person, is that veil. And behind it was always your own interior life, waiting for you to claim it. The encounter with the shadow, Jung said, is the apprentice piece in a person's development. The encounter with the anima or animus, that is the masterpiece, which tells you something about how hard this is and how much it is worth. Your brain builds a person who doesn't exist. Now I want to bring the neuroscience in, because it does something interesting. It confirms Jung's clinical observation from a completely different direction. Mary-Frances O'Connor is a neuroscientist and clinical psychologist who directs the Grief, Loss and Social Stress Lab at the University of Arizona. She has spent more than 2 decades using neuroimaging to study what happens inside the brain when we lose someone we are bonded to. And what she found is counterintuitive enough that I went back and read it 3 times. The brain does not simply respond to loss, it builds people. When you form a close attachment, your brain constructs a predictive model of that person. It learns their patterns, their presence, their absence when they return. This model runs below conscious awareness, continuously updating. And one of its primary predictions is that the attachment figure exists out there somewhere and will come back. You do not panic every time someone you love leaves the room because your brain models their return. The system works because it assumes continuity. When a relationship ends, that model does not update immediately. The prediction keeps firing. They exist. They will return. And every time reality contradicts that prediction, the brain registers what O'Connor calls a prediction error. Every time you reach for your phone and remember, every time you walk past somewhere you used to go together. The gap between what the model expects and what is actually true. That gap is the pain. That gap is why a song can stop you in the middle of an aisle at the grocery store. That gap is why the worst moments are not the dramatic ones. They are the ordinary Tuesdays. O'Connor documented this in a 2022 paper with Saran Seeley in Current Opinion in Psychology, Grieving as a Form of Learning. Grief is the brain updating a model it does not want to update. And she confirmed this applies to breakups, not only bereavement. The severity of yearning in a breakup is qualitatively the same experience, just somewhat less intense for the person who left. And then there is the 2008 fMRI study, published in Neuroimage with Naomi Eisenberger and Matthew Lieberman at UCLA. Bereaved women were shown photographs of the person they had lost. In those whose grief had not resolved, still caught in that relentless yearning, one specific brain region was elevated. The nucleus accumbens. That is the brain's reward center, the same region that activates when someone craves cocaine. The longing that drives you to check their social media at 11 p.m. is not sad nostalgia. For many people who cannot let go, the brain is producing a craving, the same circuitry that underlies addiction, which is why willpower alone does not resolve it. Dorothy Tenoff was a professor of psychology at the University of Bridgeport who spent 15 years studying what she called limerence, involuntary obsessive longing for a specific person. Her 1979 book, Love and Limerence, published by Scarborough House, was based on over 500 interviews. Her central finding, limerence is generated internally. It is not caused by the other person. The limerent object could be almost anyone who lands in the role at the right moment. The intensity belongs to the person experiencing it, not to the one it is aimed at. Put O'Connor and Tenoff together. The longing is generated by your own nervous system, maintained by a reward circuit, attached to a person who may have had very little to do with producing it. The brain built a model. The model keeps predicting return. The craving circuit fires every time the prediction fails. That is what the midnight missing is, not love, a misfiring prediction. It is learning to update, slowly. The green light was never Daisy. In April 1925, F. Scott Fitzgerald published a novel about a man who built an image of a woman over 5 years and then destroyed himself trying to find that image in the actual person. You probably know the book. Most people read it in high school. What I did not understand, until I read it with this investigation in mind, was that Fitzgerald was not writing a love story. He was writing a clinical case study of projection. Chapter 5. Gatsby has finally gotten Daisy into his house. 5 years. He built the mansion, threw the parties, watched the green light at the end of her dock every night. When she walks through the door, Nick Carraway notices something go wrong in Gatsby's face. He writes, "There must have been moments even that afternoon when Daisy tumbled short of his dreams, not through her own fault, but because of the colossal vitality of his illusion. It had gone beyond her, beyond everything. He had thrown himself into it with a creative passion, adding to it all the time, decking it out with every bright feather that drifted his way. No amount of fire or freshness can challenge what a man will store up in his ghostly heart. The colossal vitality of his illusion, not Daisy's failure, his illusion's size." Fitzgerald wrote that in 1925. Jung was developing the clinical language for anima projection in the same decade, in parallel, neither man knowing the other's work. They were watching the same phenomenon from opposite directions. What they both saw, Gatsby did not love Daisy Buchanan. He loved a memory. 19 years old, a girl who let him into her house once before the war. He built it for 5 years. He loaded it with everything he could not allow himself. Belonging, tenderness, being chosen. And then he placed that image over Daisy's face. When the real Daisy arrived, she could not hold it. She was a person. The image was something else entirely. Chapter 6. Nick finally says it plainly, "You cannot repeat the past." Gatsby's answer is one of the great lines in American fiction. Can't repeat the past. Why, of course you can. He is not naive. He is possessed. The projection has become the architecture of everything he is. Dismantling it would mean dismantling himself. Gatsby had a name for his projection. He called her Daisy. You have a name for yours too. The person you cannot stop thinking about, the one who hurt you, who left, who still appears in your kitchen on a Tuesday without being invited. They were carrying something you built. You added to it. Every good moment you remembered, more vividly than the bad ones. Every quality you hoped they would eventually show. You were doing exactly what Gatsby did, decking it out with every bright feather that drifted your way. The grief is real. I want to be clear about that. What you lost is real. The loss that feels like it is happening inside you rather than outside you. That specificity is not your imagination. It is happening inside you because what you lost was inside you first. How to take yourself back. Jung was asked how a person knows when they have genuinely withdrawn a projection. His answer was quiet and specific. He said the person becomes ordinary. Not hated, not resented, ordinary. You can think of them without the charge, without the yearning, and without the contempt that sits on the other side of yearning. They become a person-sized person again, rather than the screen you projected your interior life onto. When that happens, the projection has returned to you. What comes back is not just peace. What comes back is the quality itself. The freedom, the passion, the tenderness, whatever you placed on them, returning to the place it always came from, available to you now, without requiring another person to carry it. Jung described the technique for this in Collected Works Volume 7, paragraphs 323 and following, what he called active imagination. He was precise about the practice. You stop treating the projection as something the other person took. You start treating it as something you need to reclaim. And the question that begins the work is specific. What did I feel in their presence that I have not felt in myself? Not what did they have? What did I project onto them? Sit for a moment. Think of the person, not the arguments and not the best times, just them, the quality you felt around them. Hold it. Now ask, where have I felt that feeling when I was alone? Because that quality did not come from them. It came from inside you and landed on them. And if it came from inside you once, it is still in there. O'Connor's 2022 research frames this in identical terms. Grief is a form of learning. Every time you sit with the longing instead of feeding it, the prediction circuit gets slightly weaker. Not through force, through reality. The brain is reluctant, but it does learn. Tenoff found the same with limerence. It extinguishes through time and the withdrawal of intermittent reinforcement. The checking, the replaying, the hope, those sustain the longing. Every act of looking gives the brain one more signal that the return might still happen. Stop giving it that signal. The question is not whether you will miss them. You will. The question is whether you are willing to do something harder than missing them. Whether you are willing to become what you loved in them. Because here is what 40 years of Jung's clinical work came down to. Every projection, when it returns, is a gift. Not the relationship ending, the image, the qualities that come home when the screen goes dark. They were always yours. You just had not claimed them yet, and now you can.